get started. Thank you all for coming out for Marketing Automation powered by Agentforce today. To introduce my colleagues here, we've got Matt Brulet, who is the platform manager for Salesforce at Elements Financial. I've got Shropshire, who's a manager over at Carney's, the tech lead for the program. And I'm Tim Ziter, I'm more of a manager on the functional side. And want to give a call out to Hunter Dunbar in the audience. He is our senior director at Carney's, the tech lead, the brains behind this whole bill. So let's talk about what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be walking through just our journey of how we got here today. Matt's going to overview the challenge that's unique for Elements Financial. Then Lou's going to overview the agentic solution at a high level. And then we're going to go right into a demo to the Agentforce demo. Lou's going to take us through a little bit behind the scenes of the tech, and then Matt's going to wrap up with the business value at the end, and we'll open up for questions and answers at the end. So let's talk about our journey. I think we've all been in a unique journey over these last couple of years with AI. Ours started about 2 years ago. Hunter was been dabbling in AI, and together as a group in Carney, we're like, what can we do to explore AI? And we've done some work in the marketing automation space. So we had a presentation that we were looking to try to get at Trailblazer DX in San Francisco. And so we're trying to think like, what's a good use case that we can to develop some solutions. And we came around this concept of taking unstructured call script data from a salesperson working with a lead, pulling that into Salesforce, and using AI to pull out insights from those call transcripts. So Hunter built out that solution, pulled in those call transcripts into Salesforce, used a Python API to push it out to an external LLM, and then crunched through all that data, brought those insights back into Salesforce, which we brought back into Marketing Cloud to create dynamic segmentation, personalized journeys, and help build up that solution. So that went well over at TDX. And then we were working through how can we iterate and improve upon this back here last year at NorthEast Dreamin. So while we were at TDX, the entire conference, a year or so ago, was all about AI. And I think Hunter saw their prompt builder had just come out. So over the summer, he iterated, and instead of using that Python API, he started using the prompt builder to pull it all within Salesforce. Presented that here at NorthEast Dreamin last year. So we're still iterating over our solution. How can we keep improving upon this? And then luckily, as we all know, Salesforce came out with Agentforce last fall, which is pretty exciting. We're excited to get into the tool. So we were like, what can we do to harness the power of Agentforce? And we were like, well, how about if we create an agent that creates custom journeys in Marketing Cloud from Salesforce Core? We know that there's that gap between those two platforms. So we worked on solution, presented that at TDX. That went well. We presented that over at Connections. We needed to level up our game, so we brought in Matt from Elements Financial to try to figure out a real-world use case. That's what you'll see today from the HELOC, the home equity line of credit agent that we're going to be presenting. And then you'll see with the evolution that we've taken further throughout today. So that's a little bit of our journey through the Agentforce experience. Now I'm going to pass it over to Matt, who's going to talk about the challenge.
Hey everybody, so for those of you who are unaware, credit unions are a little different than banks. We tend to be smaller, we tend to focus on our more local and regional areas, really driven on kind of individual member success. No shareholders, we are member-owned cooperatives, so really kind of focused on those community relationships. Speaking of generalities, we're typically able to offer kind of better rates, lower fees when compared to larger banks in the area. These bigger banks have some advantages though. They can tend to have these efficiencies of scale, really kind of have more resources at their disposal because they are a little bit larger and have a little bit more that they're able to do compared to the credit unions. And then on top of that, we're also facing competition from financial services companies that are technology enabled, right? We think about your Chime, your online opening accounts, really kind of providing a much better digital experience than you would typically find for a smaller credit union. So the challenge for us is how do we kind of compete with these larger banks and these technology companies while still dealing with maybe having smaller resources, right? How do we kind of compete with those efficiencies at scale? And really, we saw Agentforce as an opportunity to be able to do that. So we're going to look at this through a home equity line of credit. This is actually a loan against your home. Allows you to kind of tap into your equity in order to spend maybe on home improvements, all sorts of different things. The challenge with this is that it's a fairly complex product. Application is lengthy. It can take 2 or 3 days from start to finish to actually just get this solved kind of with our members coming in. It involves multiple roles throughout the credit union. We've got our branch staff who may be answering questions for folks who are coming in off the street. Contact center, maybe they're answering this over the phone. We've got loan officers who are going to be working with these folks to actually close these deals. Underwriting, a lot of different hands kind of involved in this transaction. We also have limited marketing team members, so if we need to follow up with somebody, maybe we're not able to close this interaction right away, need a nurturing journey, how do we follow up with our communications here? And on top of that, right, we're talking about all this different competition. How do we maximize as a credit union our share of these folks' wallets? So we don't just want this loan, but how do we maybe show an opportunity to get them a savings product or a checking product in front of us now? So Agentforce and AI is really going to allow us to get a much faster qualification, much faster fit assessment. We're also going to be able to provide helpful information to our staff, so we can use the RAG agent that Tim mentioned earlier, rooted in our knowledge base to answer questions both for branch staff or for customers who may be doing this online. We're going to be able to create hyper-personalized communications using the Journey agent, and we can actually automate the creation of these journeys. So somebody well-versed in Marketing Cloud, I don't have to spend my time actually configuring decision splits. And ultimately, we're going to be able to cross-sell relevant products, things that our member has shown interest in previously.
So, sweet. So let's take a look at what our agentic solution looks like to Matt's problem that I just outlined. At the center of it, you can see our AI assistant, and that's built in Salesforce Agentforce. So now, when customers are interacting with our bank reps, no longer do they have to consolidate information from both the contact, from other sales core information that they have, pull in call transcripts, then interact with Marketing Cloud, set up those journeys, then maybe further that process and create the loan application or what have you. Now our AI assistant can handle all of that. So in here you can see the credit union rep is now interacting with the AI assistant. That's doing the heavy lifting of pulling in those sales core objects, call transcripts, unstructured data from that. Also the product information from the Elements knowledge base. It's then going to be able to interact with Marketing Cloud to create those customized, hyper-personalized journeys. And then furthering the journey even further, we're able to reach out to our lending and core banking platform hosted in a completely separate Salesforce board and initiate that loan application directly for these customers. And in a second, we'll see a little bit about that. So I think that takes us over to our demo.
All right, so for the demo, Lou's going to take on the role of the branch manager. So we're going to say that Nicole is on the call, just calling her Lou, and she's interested in a home equity line of credit. Now, like Matt said, this is a very complicated process. The typical next step would be Lou would email her a form to fill out. It might take a couple of days to get that back, to get that initial assessment that they might understand that she's a good fit for this application. So we're going to try to see how we can use Agentforce to fast track that process and make it a lot more seamless, like Matt had mentioned. So as you can see, Lou's got Nicole contact pulled up in Salesforce to say she's a current customer of the bank. And all he's going to do is click on the Agentforce icon at the top to open up that chat window. Again, this is Lou interacting with the agent. And he's simply going to just type in, is Nicole a good fit for a HELOC? So something as simple as that. Nothing more than that. Now the agent's taking action. Just like Lou mentioned, it's accessing those 3 databases of information. Number one, that rich data that's in that contact record. So it's understanding like what's the current mortgage that Nicole has for her house, what's the value of that house, a couple other key financial points. The agent's going to do a loan to value assessment to determine, is Nicole a good fit for a HELOC? Number 2, like Lou mentioned, it's pulling, because Lou as a branch manager knows a little bit about all the products, the HELOC products are very complicated. It's pulling, we've loaded into Data Cloud all these different knowledge articles from the bank, that we're using to use a RAG application to pull in to serve up different tips and tricks for Lou as he's having that conversation with Nicole to help explain the product. And last, the third set is those unstructured data points. We're pulling all those call transcripts in, like Matt said in the past, where trying to expand that share of wallet with Nicole. She may have been interested in a certain product in a conversation a year or two ago. So you can see the response from the agent only took a couple of seconds. You can see right at the top that Nicole is a good fit for the home equity line of credit. You can see there's over $250,000 available for that loan. And that's something that Lou can share with her right now, or you can pass that off to the loan officer. And then you can see a little bit further down in the response, it's giving Lou some ideas, some tips to share about that complicated product, all pulled in from that RAG application. And then a little further down, it's suggesting some other products of interest. Like Nicole had mentioned, she was interested in a certificate of deposit maybe Nicole a year ago. So let's say that Nicole is, so Lou's next step is to try to get her to start filling out that application. But let's say that Nicole's not ready to do that right now. She needs to go home, talk about it with her spouse, and think about it. So Lou's gonna wrap up the call, and now he's gonna start using the agent to start the marketing function. So he's gonna add Nicole to the HELOC lead nurturing campaign. Now, if there's an existing campaign right there, the agent's gonna drop her into this campaign. If there isn't one, the agent's gonna create it. Now, these are these campaigns now that we all know and enjoy in Salesforce. It's that container that's gonna track all of her engagement as she's going through this process so that sales, marketing, and leadership can have visibility into this entire process. So he's adding her to the campaign. And then the next thing he's going to do is add her to a journey. It's going to create that custom journey in Marketing Cloud. So here the agent's saying it's been successfully added to the lead nurturing campaign. And just create a journey is all it needs to do. Now the agent's going to be making all of these API calls over into the Marketing Cloud environment based on all of those data sources to create that custom one-to-one journey specifically for Nicole's use case. Journey successfully created in Marketing Cloud in a couple of seconds. So now we're going to hop over into the Marketing Cloud environment. Anybody a Journey Builder in Marketing Cloud? Okay, great. So we're going to go right over to Journey Builder, and we can see here 2:16 p.m. this journey was just created. So we're going to click into this journey. Now this isn't just a journey template. This is a fully built out configured journey. Nicole's going to be going through this journey in a minute. Let's talk about a couple of the key areas that the agent set up. Number one is the entry event. So this is triggered by the campaign that was created. So the agent's deciding who's going to be entering in this audience, in this case Nicole. It's also going to be including key data points that are going to influence how she's going to interact with these activities in the journey itself, and how it's going to personalize those communications on a one-to-one basis. You can see there's 2 emails in this journey. So the agent decided, okay, Nicole has responded in the past with emails, so we're going to send her emails. Could be SMS, could be social, could be snail mail. But because HELOC is a complicated product, they're going to choose 2 emails to be sent. Another activity is this update member status. So this agent is being proactive, not just reactive. It's feeding information back to itself at key points along the journey, so the agent can decide, okay, I'm going to pull Nicole out of this journey, put her into another one based on that engagement. And last, the decision split, like Matt mentioned, a fully configured decision split, the agent's determining what are those valuables going to be returned to say, okay, should we send Nicole another email, or is she completing this journey? So let's take a look at the email that was sent. You can take a look at the fully personalized email example that this journey created. So top to bottom, completely fully personalized by this agent. This image could be pulled from a content management system in Salesforce or in Marketing Cloud based on the tone of voice that they think is going to resonate for Nicole. If we scroll down a little bit, the copy is the tone and voice, all based on Nicole. You can see the data points from the map that you can borrow from that fit assessment. And if we scroll down a little bit further, you can see there's that recommended product from that unstructured data, that certificate of deposit. The call to action could be depending on the intent that the agent's sensing. And then last but not least, the follow-up person, that loan officer, like Matt said, it's a multi-contact point person that's going to be involved in this application. The agent's identifying who's going to be that right loan officer who's going to be following up with Nicole, or something that she could reach out with as well. So let's say that Nicole is ready to start that application process. I'm going to pass it back over to Lou, who's going to take us through the second half of this agent, which is going to help facilitate the application process.
So yeah, I think continuing on, if Nicole did say she wanted to move forward, create that loan application, I, as the bank rep here, can actually just use Agentforce to do all the heavy listening and say create a loan application. And now the agent is consolidating all of that information that applies to a HELOC loan application. It is sending it over to our financial services cloud bank management or separate org. It's creating a personalized loan application for Nicole where we can pre-populate as many fields as we can so that Nicole doesn't have to do that. It's then adding her to a separate campaign and creating a separate custom journey personalized for Nicole to be able to further that. So we see that completed successfully. If I jump back over to the journey builder, I'll back out of here, refresh this. We see that a application initiation as opposed to a lead nurturing custom campaign and journey was created. I'll let Tim talk a little bit about this.
Right, so same person, completely different journey. Right? They still sending emails, but we're now sending tasks to that loan officer to let them know, hey, Nicole's starting the application process, we sent her a link. So completely different journey, all decided by the agent, fully customized.
And so if we take a look at the first email that Nicole would receive out of this journey, we see that it's a completely different email, customized for this. The subject being HELOC application link is here. And so from here, Nicole can click this link, customized directly for her, to take her into an initiated loan application. Right. Click that, jump over here. We are now in our Elements experience. And in a second, you'll see that we're in a loan application. This is for Nicole, and the agent did all the heavy lifting of pre-populating as much information as we could. So as I step through this, we see that all of her information is beginning to get pre-populated. There are still some fields that we don't have answers to, so Nicole can come in here and start filling this out. The other thing to note is that this is completely hosted in an Omni script built in Omni Studio, without a line of code being written for any of this. So I'm going to jump through this. And again, all of this is built in Omni Studio. It does all of the field validation, pre-population, and all of that data again coming from the agent. In here, I can fill out my assets, liabilities, and other monthly payments associated. I'm just going to jump through that for now. And then the final piece of this Omni script is a piece where we can generate a custom PDF of this loan application that Nicole just filled out. So instead of having to rely on a digital form, Nicole can go ahead and download her loan application document right here on the site. And at the same time, we'll be saving that document back into Salesforce Core. So as you see here, in a second, we'll pull up a preview of what that PDF looks like, where we've merged in all of Nicole's information that she just entered into this Omni script and this loan application flow. I'm able to download that, and like I said, it's also saved into Salesforce Core, so it's also available to our bank rep if they need to integrate with either a DocuSign or a signing platform, fill out any more bank information, or continue journeys with that. So I think this concludes kind of our demo portion of this. What I'll pull up now is a little bit of the how did we do this. 1 second. So here we have just a flow diagram of exactly what we just talked about. You'll see the customer up top, the bank rep in the middle, our two Salesforce org, our Agentforce org and our FSC org. And then down below, you'll see Marketing Cloud, where we're creating those custom journeys. I won't talk too in depth about this, as it is just reflective of a demo we just went through, but if you're going through this deck later, you'll be able to use this as a helpful asset. So how do these agents work? The agents work in a very, what they call React paradigm, or React architecture, in which they reason and they act, and they reason and act back and forth until they accomplish a goal and they output that response to the person asking. As part of the reasoning flow, they're interpreting the task, they're interpreting the ask, they're pulling in and interpreting past conversation that we've had back and forth. They're analyzing that, and they're making a hypothesis as to what the next best action is. And then the act piece of this taps into the Agentforce specific tie-ins to everything Salesforce, whether it's executing flows, whether it's executing SOAP queries, whether it's executing custom Apex, or just doing basic things like looking up records. The act piece can tie into virtually any Salesforce automation tool that you have, and Salesforce will think, act, back and forth, execute as many actions as it takes to accomplish that goal. So let's talk about the journey agent specifically and kind of some of the topics and actions that we have. So that thinking and acting piece operates kind of with two levels of granularity. There's topics, something like a marketing cloud and journey creation specific topic. And then to accomplish the goal of marketing cloud and journey creation, we have specific actions that are needed to accomplish that goal. So if you take a look here, we have these actions laid out here. You're going to need to get records. We need to pull in records. So what does that do? If the agent thinks and determines that we need more information than, say, the current contact that we're on, say it's call transcripts, say it's other pieces, we're going to query those records. And the agent will determine that we need to use this get records action. Then once it dives into the act portion, it will query those records out of Salesforce. You can do a few more advanced things that were set up, like initiate a campaign or add campaign members, which are doing DML inserts into Salesforce, where we're creating a custom campaign, or we are inserting campaign members for the contacts that we're on. And then some more complex flows, like adding campaign or creating personalized emails or adding to Marketing Cloud journeys. We are utilizing Agentforce's connection into flows and custom Apex to generate custom content for a custom email, or generate the specific nodes and ultimately a customized journey that would go into Marketing Cloud. So a little bit more actually in the builder of Agentforce. This is a look at the Agentforce builder and the one that we have. Over on the left, you can see those topics that I was just talking about. You can see the campaign and Marketing Cloud journey management, elements products, which we use to do that kind of product fit assessment. And then our loan application topic, which we use to interface with our financial services cloud org and create that loan application. Over on the right, you can see our conversation preview, where we are kind of testing our agent, making sure that it's working with the same exact commands that we just entered in that demo. Up top, you'll see, is Nicole a good fit for a HELOC? And then in the center panel, you're able to see that reasoning, acting flow back and forth that we just talked about. So up top, you have our initial prompt. It then goes into a reasoning mode where it's thinking on what to do. Decides that the topic that we need to go into is that product fit assessment topic. We then go back into reasoning, it's thinking what to do next. The next thing that it needs to do is execute a product fit assessment action, which in this case is a prompt builder action, which we use to kind of generate that content that gets output as a result. Back and forth until it deems that we have a successful answer, and it outputs that to the, in this case, bank rep. So talking about that prompt builder, there's a few of them in this demo, but the one that we have here is that product fit assessment. So anytime that we need to do any LLM generation or RAG, when we're looking up to our elements knowledge articles, we're going to utilize the prompt builder. In this one, we are giving it some basic prompt instructions like you do just with ChatGPT. We are also taking inputs from the agent, be the product, be the contact that we're looking at. We're using flows to ingest a bit more information, so call transcripts don't come in natively from the agent. We use a flow to go ahead and look up those. And then finally, down at the bottom, you'll see our RAG lookup, where we're looking at the elements, knowledge articles, and content that's in our knowledge library. It's able to chunk that knowledge, vectorize it, and determine what is the most useful pieces of that, and then use all of this to send over to whatever AI model you use, whether it's OpenAI, GPT. In this case, we're using Anthropic Claude. Send it over and get a response from that model. And then the other thing in the middle here is we're able to tell it exactly how we want that output to the agent. Another thing that we are utilizing here, like I just said, the call transcripts, we need to go fetch and set that up to be used in a prompt builder fashion, to be used inside of a AI input. And the way that we do that is recommended is to use flows. So we have a data prep flow for a few different things, this one being call transcripts, where we're pulling in all the call transcripts that are available. We're looping over them to format them in a way that's ingestible into the prompt builder, and then we're outputting that back in. And so if we look back at the prompt builder, one of the actions that we see in here is the lookup to the call transcripts. And then the final thing, I think, one of the final things that we have is that OmniScript and OmniStudio flow for the actual loan application. So everything that we just talked about was hosted in our Agentforce org, and this one specifically is hosted in that Financial Services Cloud org. All of that loan application flow was created with this OmniScript in a clicks not code way. So not a line of code was written to get this to accomplish that loan application. It's all done in kind of a drag and drop interface. And then on the inputs and outputs side, it uses what they call data mappers to ingest data into this, whether it's the contact record or other curated information that the agent has decided a HELOC application needs. Those all come in through that input data mapper, and then at the end, we have an output data mapper that converts it all into a loan application S object that fits neatly within our FSC data model. We have some slides in here for some code. I don't know if we're kind of coming close on time, so I might breeze through these. I won't go full nerd mode. But the piece that we did need to write in custom Apex was that interaction with Marketing Cloud. So we ingested Marketing Cloud's Journey Builder API. We wrapped that all in custom classes. And then in the same way that you would with any object-oriented coding language, we create objects for each one of these nodes. We create a payload for a journey, and we send that over to Marketing Cloud. And ultimately, you get what you see down here at the bottom, a fully customized journey based on code, which is ultimately based on a response from a prompt builder. So I think I'll jump out of here and hand it back over to Matt.
Awesome. Thank you, Lou. So as you can see, the business value for the credit union is massive. Faster qualification when we talk about how long it takes to explain this product to somebody, get an application, the handoffs between various people who need to be involved in actually closing this transaction. Having the agent available to do that and to send that nurture journey and to actually provide them with a clickable application process online is huge. It improves efficiency in a couple different levels of the business. Increasing conversion rates, again, a lot of opportunities for these transactions to not close, whether it's not opening an email, whether it's not picking up the phone, having the agent able to decide what's best for this individual and to create that journey for them should theoretically lead to more closed transactions. And then customer satisfaction boost. And I think one of the things that most impresses me is that cross-sell opportunity and being able to review that unstructured call transfer data to offer a product that this person has shown interest in previously. I'm not trying to figure out dynamic content blocks. I'm not trying to push what marketing thinks is hot this quarter. We're really trying to use intent-based data to provide a product that this person's shown interest in. And then the marketing side as well, there's benefits there. So when I think about myself as a person in their hands-on creating journeys, having an agent create a nurture journey for an individual is awesome. I do not want to spend my time creating a journey for a single person. It's just not something I want to be focused on in my day. And marketing as well, that they don't really want to be focused on gathering requirements and trying to figure out what can we create to hit the most people possible. So having the journey agent able to kind of create these individual journeys based on the content is just massive. It allows marketing to spend time on what they want to do, and it allows me to spend time on what I want to do. So I think that's really what we were hoping to share today. Tim and I are co-leaders of the Boston Salesforce Marketers Group, so for anybody in the room who's looking to get more hands-on or looking to talk Marketing Cloud, we host pretty much weekly. I'd say every Monday morning. We have virtual sessions. We also do in-person meetings quarterly. So please don't hesitate to look us up in the Trailblazer community. And I think all three of us will be here for questions afterwards. So if anybody wants to talk, we're here. Thanks so much for your time.
Any questions?
So you're right there. Go ahead.
Obviously Marketing Cloud, Journey Builder, because you're running that. Any thoughts about whether you could do this with cadences? Because I know Agentforce natively sits on top of high velocity sales, or whatever we're talking this week. Any thoughts on doing that, or any of the other automations, or is it kind of the same concept, or?
It's a good question. I'll defer to you or Lou.
I think right now I don't think there's a native integration, but as long as it has an openly available API, we can consume it in the same way that we did Marketing Cloud. But that's the technical.
There's 3 ways to do email journeys.
You have a question as well?
Yeah, just curious if there would be a use case for adding someone to an existing journey. That's anything that you.
Yeah, I imagine it's entirely possible. So especially if your journeys are going to be driven off of campaigns, I think we showed how we can add someone to that campaign container easily. So even using existing tech today, I would say if you've got a journey powered by campaign additions, you probably wouldn't even need to do the custom callouts aside from this introduction.
Yeah, I think we've done this in a couple different ways where we did it exactly that way, where we had a templated journey that lives at the campaign level, and all you do is add new members to the campaign, kick off a journey that way. In the way that we just demoed, we're kind of getting a little experimental and creating those customized journeys, hyper-personalized one-to-one with the campaign member, but definitely doable both ways.
Yeah, we're going a little bit for the wow factor for presentation purposes, but yeah, I think we all, like we mentioned, talk about having the agent determine, hey, is there an existing journey that, for this person that meets, emails or SMS or whatever, the highest performing, let's put them into that journey versus creating a new one. And that's something that we've put on our roadmap to think about those different types of edge cases and all that. But knowing how Next is coming over, it's like we wonder if that might just all be transitioning over to Flow eventually, Marketing Cloud growth.
Having used Marketing Cloud when it was exact target before Salesforce bought it all the way, I'm really impressed with what you got to do. So on the wow factor, 100%. I just want to say, it definitely has a lot of thoughts, adding to the campaign, what are going to do with Agentforce? Because one of the things is account engagement. You want to do a Pardot, engagement studio. You want to do a cadence and high velocity, and whatever they're going to rename it on Marketing Cloud, Next Growth, whatever. So it's the fact that you made that target do that is really fun.
Yeah.
How did you handle for bounces in the journey?
That's a good question. I don't think it's really a thought that I've considered up until now, so that's a great question. So I imagine we could certainly add something to the action to then add a step to handle for that would be my immediate thought.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, please.
Maybe the agent's like, all right, Nicole bounces. So we're going to send her probably not an SMS message because that's probably harder to get dropped in. Maybe an actual mail piece. So yeah, I think that's part of the thinking is we had designed it so Nicole engages with email. She's got a successful email. She's very healthy. She's subscribed.
So it's assuming email.
Yes, but I think that's part of the thinking, right? Pulling out Marketing Cloud, that all subscriber status, pulling that in as a data point to determine. That's a great question.
Any tips or best practices on getting product documentation, good solid format / what are you going to use for that indexing capability?
gonna say we're making it up as we go. The stuff we got from Marketing Cloud Exact Target is very loose, limited, especially around the APIs that give you kind of very high level stuff, and you really have to mess around with it, figure it out. In terms of the agent builder product documentation, it's actually pretty fully fleshed out in trailheads and stuff, but
Oh, I meant for the knowledge base, for the RAG model that would, give a service rep or whatnot insight into the products themselves. I just always struggle if you just have Word docs, and how do we consume it, chunk it, like what, use Azure Cognitive Search, like what type of tools are you?
yeah, we've uploaded all of the elements, knowledge docs that we have found valuable to a data library in Salesforce, and we're using it off that. So using the chunking size and vectorization models that are applied with out-of-the-box marketing, Agentforce. But yeah, right now, I believe you can do two things. If it's uploaded in Salesforce Knowledge, you can use that. Otherwise, what we're doing is kind of replicating those and uploading those documents as flat files in a data library.
Yeah, and I think to that point, and even the earlier question about email bounces, right? Good data. I think that's whether it is product documentation or your email information. We love using knowledge base. I think it's been very helpful for our reps even before we added Agentforce components to it. But to your point, if it's Word docs stored on somebody's desktop, or if I got to go into my manager's office to find the binder that's got the most recent PDF, hopefully printed out in it, not super helpful. So it definitely takes an organizational shift. I would say to put priority on that and make sure that you've got good documentation available to your reps before you can think about adding an agent on top.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
So, thank you.